in EM, we have 3 goals, and it's save lives, prevent injury, and protect property and the environment. All of this deployment was in regard to Hurricane Debby. Hurricane Debby made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane near Steinhatchee, Florida on August 5th. Looking at that particular hurricane, one of the major concerns was in regard to flooding. And so one of the interesting things about this series of deployments in general is that it was actually bifurcated by a small break in the middle, because we actually had to wait for flooding to occur in the area near the Three Rivers Conjunction, which is near basically the Santa Fe and Swanee Rivers and where they converge. We had 2 new members deploy with us on the Hurricane Debby Iteration Part 1 and Part 2. Riley Maresca and Anthony Abinator, and they both did an awesome job.
Primarily, I did a lot of scribing, so my purpose was to just make sure that we had everything we needed in terms of equipment, knowing where it was, taking account of that equipment, writing it down, and a major thing was the FEMA Incident Command System forms. And what those are is they are a series of forms that we use to just keep track of everything, so that later on at the end of the deployment we can file for reimbursement with FEMA, and you need that to be able to do any sort of reimbursement cost.
Over the period of about a week, sure enough, the river began to rise, and so part of what we did was actually go out and take imagery of what that looked like. Because one of the major concerns with the Swanee River in general was that the water would spread across the sides of the river, the banks of the river. The difficult thing is it's difficult to know how much floodwater there will be, exactly how much will actually impact the area, how far it's going to spread across the banks, what roads it's going to impact. Those are all questions that kind of have to be answered by emergency managers in the area.
When we went out, we were monitoring flood levels. We went about every day. We would go and check on the river. We would collect videos, sometimes maps if the county requested it.
We were able to actually work with them in a way where I hope it was a mutually beneficial experience, and they were able to learn a lot about how emergency management works in the field.
When I was out there flying drones, I would either have the position of being the pilot or the visual observer. When I was the pilot, it was my duty to, fly the aircraft. But I would do things like take videos of the river or create a map of the area that was requested by the Emergency Operations Center. So very fortunately enough, we practiced so much, nothing went wrong. It was very clear day to fly. We were all aware. Everybody had good communication. When I was the VO, the visual observer, it was the same thing. Make sure you have eyes on the drone at all times. Make sure the pilot is aware of their surroundings, that there's nothing wrong with the drone before it launches. It's definitely really, frankly, cool to see all these pieces come together, because we spend the entire year just training and training and training and meeting people, making sure that we know what's up, where to go, who to talk to before the event happens, where to go get resources. Because if you don't know any of that, then probably you already failed at some aspect of the response. So yeah, I think doing this, seeing my team in action, seeing the state, the local county in action, I'd have pretty high hopes that things would go well.